morning to all. I would like to welcome all the esteemed speakers and participants who have joined us for this Data Conclave session, which is part of the year-long celebrations of Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav Celebrations, which is an initiative of Government of India to commemorate 75 years of India's independence. We are joined by representatives of various government departments and officials and other representatives from NEC, various other stakeholders. Open Data Week is organized across all the 100 smart cities to promote the use of open data for urban governance. This event is to drive governance driven by data and to enhance the awareness of citizens with respect to utilization of open data for municipal services. I would first request Dr. Vinay Goyal, sir, to make the opening remarks and welcome the speakers.
Yeah, thank you, Vishnu. Thank you so much. Good morning, all. Am I audible, Vishnu?
Yes, sir, audible.
Yeah, good morning, all. I'm Dr. Vinay Goyal, CEO Smart City. Thank you, Vishnu, for setting the context for this webinar on open data series. It's a mandate by Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs. First, let me take this opportunity to welcome all our esteemed speakers. I welcome Director IT Mission, Shri Snehil Singh IS. He is my batchmate also. Welcome, Snehil, and thank you for giving your time. I welcome V. Namashivai, sir, member Kerala State Planning Board. Sir might not be attending this because he had got COVID positive. We just received the news. I welcome Mr. R. Srinivas, sir, from Town and Country Planning Organization. Sir has a positive association with smart cities and has been guiding us as and when required. I welcome Mr. Kikuchi Koji, he is Senior Manager representing NEC Corporation, Japan. I welcome Mr. Sandeep Khuranaji. He is Chief Technological Officer, NEC Technologies India. I take this opportunity to welcome the data coordinators from various departments who also have joined this webinar series. I welcome all the youth from different schools and colleges of Trivandrum city who have joined this webinar. I welcome all my colleagues from Smart City. I welcome all the media partners, and I thank all my office staff for arranging this webinar on such a short notice. As Vishnu has already set the context, it's a webinar on open data week as mandated by Central Ministry also. It's just a repetition to stress on the importance of data. We all know there was one news very recently where Swiggy has come out with its data analytics that chicken biryani was the most ordered item, and it continues to stay the number one for last 6 years. Then second was pav bhaji and gulab jamun. So this shows all these private companies, these tech giants, how deeply they are involved in data analysis, and that is the reason they have come to the consumer satisfaction. But when it comes to government department, we hardly have any precedent. And when we talk of smart cities, so our cities will be smart when we, as from government side, also will start using these kind of initiatives. So I hope the webinar today will open a platform, will open an initiative for the different stakeholders to come together and have a fruitful session on this data week. I will not take further time. And now I would request my batchmate and Director IT Mission. He will be quickly taking us through all the initiatives which Kerala government is having vis-a-vis data policy. So thank you so much again. And I wish this will be a successful interaction among various stakeholders. I now invite Snehil for his remarks. Thank you.
Hi, good morning. Am I audible?
Yes. Yes, Snehil.
Yes, sir. Yeah, so hi, good morning, everyone. Thank you, Vinay, for giving this introduction. Thank you, Srinivas ji and Mr. Khurana for attending there, and Smart City, Mr. Koji Kikuchi from Japan for attending this event. So I am presently holding charge as Director IT Mission, which basically deals with the entire governance activities of the Kerala state. And we deal with a lot of common infrastructure in terms of what we are running, what we are operating, and how these web applications of the government, various government departments are managed. The discussion on open data in itself is a very exciting and a very uh, titillating kind of a topic where everyone is talking about data in terms of analysis, in terms of metadata, in terms of a lot of big terminology with AI coming in, machine learning coming in, and we are usually bogged down with the fact that it's very simple at the end of the day. But I've realized that over the time, when in government especially, we have moved probably, if you see at 1980s, 1990s, when most of the records were physical, and then the gradual digitization of the records started happening, and the entire processes started taking over from physical records to digitization. Data was anyways being created. Now, what do we do with that data is something which we have actually not been very proactive in that. While on the other hand, the private sector has been very proactive in this thing, and they have developed their modules, they have developed their structures across what data is doing for them. So I'll give an example in the government context. Presently, like most likely, we have around 609 different government services which are being offered online. Now, when the services are being offered online, naturally there will be some kind of data collection at different levels. There'll be data collection at the login level, there'll be a data collection at the level of collecting further information about what is required in that particular service. Let us presume if a person wants income certificate, there has to be certain documents which are required, so that kind of data collection will happen. Then there'll be some kind of further analysis, not analysis but a physical verification, because since it's a government, the statutes are very specific, and they're very concrete in the sense that what you have to do. So my point being that the huge amount of data that is being generated, being stored, being created in the government is increasing exponentially. Now, we as government officials, we want to ensure a lot of things so that the data is protected, and I'll be briefly touching on the data privacy issue also in another 2-3 minutes. But my point being that the entire environment is surrounded with data in that sense. And I'm not talking solely about private records in terms of registry, in terms of names, address, phone numbers, and contacts, and all those things, but I'm talking in a sense of a simple file movement. Now every file movement in the government department is also now using a web application. We're using e-office, which is developed by NIC. Now that itself is a huge data source if you think about it. The number of transactions that are happening and the amount of things that you can do is actually, you can't even comprehend that. It's so huge in that sense. Like it opens up so many opportunities in terms of what we can do with that data. Now, I would like just come quickly on this thing that so I'll just quickly tell that, see, in the public sector and private sector, we do not want data per se. The idea of collecting data is not because we want more and more data coming in. That's not the idea. When a citizen comes to a government official for availing a particular service, it is mandatory that the government does its due checks and balances, and that is where the data generation happens. While in the private sector, if we think about that, the data which is generated out of what service that you are availing, but what you do with that data, that is where the problem happens. And in government, since our motive is not profit, government does not work on profit making. So we are very simple in terms of service delivery, in terms of making the lives of the citizens easier, in having a better governance solution. So that data is still in a better shape, in a better safe environment, and there's a trust between the government and the citizen who is giving that information to the government department in itself. So that is a very fundamental difference between how we approach the data and how private sector approaches the data. I'm sorry. So once we establish that the motives are very different, we understand that the government is actually not looking to further collect more data. It is just that it is a statutory mandate. Now, coming to the fact that now where should we in the government start looking at? We need to start looking at, okay, now we have that information. What can we do about it? What should we do about it? Now I have, for example, data records of citizens who are availing civil supplies department. They're getting rations from different offices in different locations. We have that kind of information with them. What do we do with it? How can that information help the government in ensuring that our citizen service delivery is much more centric? It is targeted. it is not duplicated, it is not repetitive in a way that is leading to wastage of resources, time, money, efforts. See, and when you're talking about government, every month it's public money that we're dealing with. So we have to be little more optimized. We have to be optimizing a solution so that service delivery is done in a much more concrete way. And that is where we come, that with using of these public records and in using of this metadata that is being created out of these public transactions, we can actually optimize and we can actually try to target our solutions better. And that is where we in Kerala are also looking at. We like presently, what are we doing with it? In any service delivery, we are not actually using the metadata. We actually start the exercise of data collection for that particular service delivery from day one. Like if for example, government announces a XYZ scheme, we will start the data collection at that level. We don't look at what was already collected. We don't look at what is possible, outcome in terms of it. So because we don't think in that ways, government is not yet, thinking in terms of analysis, in terms of core data analysis, making models out of it, doing a multivariate analysis for that particular data. We're not looking at all those aspects, but we can and we are gradually going to do it. And when this whole issue comes up, there's a legal, moral, and social obligation also, which as a government official, we need to keep in mind that government departments and we have to follow the rules and the laws which are established by the by all the legislatives and the judiciary. We have to ensure that there's a moral obligation also that the data which is being collected is not misused and is not being used in a way which might be detrimental to the citizen itself. So that is one thing which we have to take care of. Quickly, I want to touch upon what, as I understand, the types of data that is being created in the government ecosystem. One is like the personal records that I was telling you, like my name, my age, my date of birth, my place of birth, my address, and all those kind of details. Then there are some kind of transactions in terms of financial. There will be money being assigned to me. There will be some kind of records being given to one department to another record. Then there will be some kind of metadata which is very interesting and very untouched upon. When did I interact with the government? Now, for example, Smart City is building up a software solution for traffic management. Let us presume a citizen is actually using that software at what particular point of time. Obviously you will have to ensure that the quality of data is good, the records are safe and all. But at the end of the day, that will give you a data point in itself, that Snehal Kumar Singh availed that kind of service from that software at that particular time. It creates a metadata which can be used subsequently in terms of modeling. You can actually use that, okay, what kind of citizens are using these kind of services at what particular point of time, location, geography, and literally you can't actually comprehend the things that you can do with it. And in the government, we are actually now trying to build up models for that. We're trying to build up a common databases so that we can better understand, better visualize the data which is being coming in. Mostly metadata we'll be working upon, because it is much more simplistic to understand it, and it opens a more gates of data analysis, in the sense that it will change the policy making. It will increase. It will give us insights which are not generally visible to the people. As a policy maker, as a head of the department, we have to see that the policy and the rules that we are making is backed up by data, and it is driven by data, not driven by just whims and fancies and a very crude understanding of what is happening. So and I feel that the urban governance, when the smart city comes in, I think urban governance is one of the things which will be more and more easy to comprehend, because it's a fixed location. It is a very fixed domains and very fixed modules which you are creating it in terms of traffic management, in terms of water management, electricity, and taxes, birth certificate, death certificate. All these kind of informations are very static and very simplistic, but are very high impact data points also, because you can actually create very good modules and models in which you can actually analyze that, okay, if, for example, this particular location is having certain problem in terms of water, in terms of electricity, because you found those data points there, and you will be able to do a multivariate analysis, put up some factors there, and see that, okay, is it happening, or is it being shown by data, or is it just my understanding, just my crude understanding of by visually, because we as a humans, we are very visual creatures, in the sense that what we see, what we hear, that is it. But we sometimes tend to miss the hidden undercurrents, because a very basic rule of data is that correlation is not causation. So when you think about it, things might be correlated, but the actual cause might be something very different. And we in government have to be much more careful when we are dealing with policies and designs of rules. When we think about correlations, it should be much more precise, much more backed by data as much as possible. And of course, it will take some time, it will take some efforts to build up that infrastructure. And in IT mission, we are also trying to build up that. We have a very exciting project of unified registry, where we are trying to take up data points from different departments and see what we can do about it. When we can we build up a common data base which can be used by different departments, so there's no duplication. So very good exciting things are coming up in the Kerala government also. And I'm hoping that smart city, being a very essential and important partner for the implementation of those activities, I hope it we grow together, in the sense of the applications are much more citizen friendly and the data is more government friendly. So with this, I would just end my brief note here and wish all the very best to everyone. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Snail, sir, for that insightful description about the policies and initiatives taken up by Government of Kerala. Now we'll move to the first speaker for the day. Mr. Srinivas is a town and country planner working for TCPO for the past 20 years. TCPO is a technical and advisory arm of various ministries of Government of India, and the primary role is to facilitate in policy formulation and to regulate urban and rural development in the country. Srinivas, sir, I'm handing it over to you, sir.
Is it visible? Oh, sorry, I had kept mute.
Yes, sir, it is visible, sir. You're loud and clear.
First of all, I sincerely thank Kochi, Trivandrum Smart City and Snehil sir for giving me the opportunity to make this presentation. And the topic of my relevance of data in future city planning. As a town planner working in the central town and country planning organization, in fact, this is a very critical aspect where we have to really work for not only the data collection, but also we'll have to see that how data is relevant and how authentic the data is being collected, especially for the preparation of various kind of plans. Typically we have the hierarchy of plans. Right at the top, it's metropolitan region plan, then followed by the master plan or development plan for the city. And the development plan or the master plan can always be disaggregated into various zonal development plans. Typically for Delhi we have 15 planning zones. The entire master plan 2041 will be divided into 15 planning zones. And further you can disaggregate the proposals. You can go for a local area plan. A lot of cities, small cities, have gone for area development strategy, wherein they are preparing local area plans for the brownfield side, and that the land pooling or the town planning scheme for the peripheral urban areas or the greenfield sites. And it's very much important, whatever may be the level of planning, without data, it's impossible to come up with the proposals. And in fact, prior to the IT intervention. In fact, we used to do a lot of data collection through voluminous records, census reports, and various publication made by different kind of departments. So let me just focus on what are the challenges, especially, and what is the significance of data in urban planning. Most of you are aware. I mean, I'm glad that a lot of youngsters who are in college and schools, they have also joined in this open data week. 50% of towns would be population would be residing in cities and towns. That's a huge challenge, and just see, in absolute terms, we will have around 80 crores or 800 million by 2050. It's a huge challenge. 80 crores we are going to accommodate in how many cities and towns. I mean, the 2021 figures are not available. The census preparation, I mean, it's going to take place, census. I mean, they will start counting. Hopefully the next year we may get the census figures, but it's quite possible we may have 15,000 plus cities and towns. And yes, we always say that whenever we plan for cities and town, the future urban planning has to be viewed as a creation of critical ecosystem which relies heavily on social, economic, and environmental interaction. And let me put this point. Traditionally also, urban planning has always been data driven, drawing data from various analog sources. Now digital technology, with the advent of IT, with the advent of geographical information system, as well as the remote sensing technique, has facilitated the strategic data driven initiatives in addressing the key urban planning and development, such as problems like congestion, pollution, road safety, inequitable access to the core urban services. And first and foremost task of the planner, he will make an attempt through various kind of plans that how we are going to reduce the intra-city disparities in with respect to the access to the basic facilities. So that's very much important, and just have shown, I mean, have given this illustration, which you can say that India will be the most populated country by 2030. Maybe it will overtake China, but at the same time you will see that the urban population is also is going to be huge, and to ensure basic facilities for 80 crore population by 2050 will be a huge challenge. Now, what is the role of big data analytics? I mean, we have what just a minute. Yes, madam. मैंने वो 2016 में किया था. 2016 ठीक. मैडम, आई नीड हाफ एन आवर ब्रेक. मैं प्रेजेंटेशन कर रहा हूँ स्मार्ट सिटी कोची के लिए. Okay. Yes, sure. Sorry, additional secretary madam called. Yes, let me continue with my presentation. Yes. Now you have, even Snehil sir was also, mentioning about the, the format, the unstructured versus structured data. I mean, through structured data, you can do, a lot of, analytics. I mean, a lot of analysis you can do, and also, you can have a lot of, modeling for the future, how we are going to resolve our problems in future. So typically, the 2010s, it has started, what we were talking about, the big data analytics that have demonstrated the advantage of big data over the traditional statistical approach to understand the spatial growth of cities. Now, with better accessibility and availability of the data, cities can be planned and developed into a safer, sustainable, environmentally friendly place for the people to live in. Ultimately, the object of urban planning, or the object of the master plan, has to ensure the sustainability, and also at the same time you need to provide, a safe city. Now, expanding population, everybody is aware, will, put increased strain on infrastructure such as public transportation, sewage system, and that is why data-driven solutions will be the key to increasing the efficiency and effectiveness of city operations. That becomes very much important. So, in order to be effective, the next generation of city planners must be as proficient with simulation algorithms as they are with the design. So that becomes very much important. That how we are going to, you know, leverage the the technology available with us. Now, I was actually searching, what could be the precise definition of big data. What American Planners Association mentions about the big data as an accumulation of data that is too large and complex for processing with traditional database management tools. Now, what really sets big data apart for planners is the variety and complexity of data and the speed at which information is going to be collected, which can allow for near or real-time analysis. Now, as a tool, big data offers, various benefit for our planners. Need to have detailed data for enhanced data-driven decisions. So that is the crux of the situation. Is that now we planners we are heading towards preparing the GIS-based master plan, where we are in detail we are using the the technique in order to create various thematic layers. Now, the biggest challenge would be how the decision making can be streamlined with the help of GIS technology. That will be the biggest challenge for us. Now, there are certain quantitative support in form of statistics, models, maps, simulation that planners can show the city officials, developers, and offers and others to demonstrate how and why they came to certain decisions. So, this is I have taken from the American Planners Association website, and that's how we'll have to really in future we'll have to, through GIS based master plan, we'll have to see that how decision making can be much more effective. Now, spatial plans, I have already mentioned the the plans available at the different level. So data analytics and unplugging helps in collecting all the information required for area, zone, region, and city for understanding the behavior, needs, and activities of the people. That's very much important. And typically those who go for town planning course, these are all taught in the very first semester. And why this I have prepared the slides, that some students are also there. Those might not be pursuing the urban planning, but other students, they should know that without the data analytics, no planning exercise can be successful. Now, again, you have different kind of sources, primary and published sources, inspection, personal interview, and of course, as our cities are growing, and the pressure on infrastructure and the increase in density, you need to really analyze. And I will repeat to say that intracity disparities become the biggest challenge. Now, how many wards are, you have to evolve certain benchmark. Say, ward wise, you can do the analysis that how many wards are actually deficient in the water supply, and what is the the spatial coverage of drainage in the city, and what could be the you can in fact do a lot of analysis through GIS, that where which areas could be earmarked for the processing the solid waste. Earlier, what in master plan, through our spatial analysis, we used to earmark landfill site, that too in the landfill site beyond the municipal corporation area. Now that if you earmark landfill site beyond the municipal corporation area, it is quite possible it may come in the gram panchayat areas, where people may the resident of the villages may object to that, why you are going to have a landfill site. So those days have gone. With a lot of analysis, you can actually earmark sites where you can do the processing rather than simply disposing of the the solid waste. Now, while preparing any zonal plan, local area plan, data analytics and collection is required for providing various facilities required for the population living in the area. So it becomes very much, master plan is an overall blueprint. It is very difficult to quantify to what extent the master plan has been implemented. it's very difficult. Some of the states like Maharashtra or Gujarat, they have tried that. How many actually master plan proposals have been implemented? Have been implemented. So once, I mean, there's a lot of criticism, during the, once the master plan is revised, and a lot of criticism would be there that master plan has not been implemented in true spirit. So the plans like zonal plans, local area plans gives an opportunity to not only do the detailed analysis to overcome the, the intra-city disparities, but actually, helps a planner, to actually implement at the local level, which will, I mean, which can very will be, felt, which can be observed by the citizens. Now, yes, of course, master. Sorry, is it visible? Yeah. Is
Yes,
it?
sir. It is visible.
Yeah, yeah,
Yes.
yeah, yeah. Now, how you are going to, streamline the decision making? What are the possibilities? The ICT facilitate better, convenient, and easy methods for analyzing the data and bring out the root cause for problems and predict the future outcomes of the on the accurate basis. Now, to what extent we can ensure the accuracy while preparing the plan? Of course, the town planning department or the development authorities or the urban local bodies, whichever agency is responsible preparing the plan, you have to contact various department, whether it is water supply, whether it is discom, or any agency which is actually responsible for the utilities. So those, the data has to be collected, collated, and need to you know do lot of analytics. Now, spatial growth with the help of information technology, data analytics, geospatial planners can conclude the past urban planning problems and predict the future possibility and needs of the population living there. Now, with the GIS, with the use of lot of GIS techniques, one can always calculate that to what extent we would be require land for future development, but also it will also facilitate that how to conduct the carrying capacity analysis. For details, you can always refer to the urban and regional development plan formulation and implementation guidelines, where we have dealt in detail with regard to carrying capacity. One has to, I keep on giving the example of capital Delhi, where the area has always been 1483 square kilometer. So pre-independence, hardly it had a million population. Now you see the population has gone beyond 2 crores. Then how you are going to, that to what extent the city is going to hold additional population, that becomes a huge challenge. And then data analytics actually will facilitate how you are going to actually go for carrying capacity. Now, ICT also enables, actually Mr. Snehil has already mentioned about the records, and the timely updation of all those data is very much important. Now, I will tell about our experience that we have been coordinating with municipal corporation of Delhi and Mumbai, wherein we are actually uh, you know assisting the the rather we are monitoring the reform implementation for the online building permission system. So in order to have online building permission system successful, you need to have a the property records, you need to have a land records. Until unless you have the detail of property records, it will be very difficult task to grant the approvals. So under the online building permission system, both the land records and the building plans have been integrated, but it has taken a lot of time. Mumbai was the very first city where they had successfully integrated the land records with the online building permission system. Now, yes, timely implementation of projects emanating from plans and quick decision making, especially in terms of pandemic times, you have realized, in fact, various smart city mission, the integrated command and control systems were virtually they were converted into pandemic control, war room, wherein the real time data was available. In fact, in my city also, we could, during the lockdown time, we could ascertain the location of, say, hospital, the nearest doctor available, the day-to-day, the requirements where they are available. That was also, important. Now, there are certain, how what sort of, the technologies are getting, new and new technologies are being used to collect the data, to, you know take a lot of information through online. So some of the examples I have given, I will not explain each and everything, but from urban planning point of view, in fact, for the local area plans, we are going for the drone survey, where you can generate, the large scale maps, where you can monitor. Actually, you can monitor the construction activities, you can monitor the encroachments, you can monitor a lot of things, which will actually provide inputs to, prepare the local area plan. And of course, you have, with a lot of social platforms, with a lot of, use of mobile to extract the information from, the stakeholders. You can generate a lot of information. And yes, I will also focus, I have already mentioned about the, GIS based master plan, and my organization, town and country planning organization, is actually, responsible for monitoring the progress of master plans. The first version, the GIS based master plan, is a sub scheme under the Amrit mission, wherein 500 Amrit cities have been covered, for preparing the GIS based master plan, and around 95 lakh rupees are extended to the city for preparing the GIS based master plan. And these are typical, uh, the layers where you can generate, and you can do a lot of analysis. Now, you can see that on the right, what illustration I have used, that you can create, that is data administration through relational, geo database design, maintenance, and data generation. That is actually the structure, when you have a format for preparing. And I will call, even the census reports are also formatted, and land records, where you are going to create ID for each and every, the plot. And then you need to, the visualize, build, analyze, through, the your geospatial statistical analysis. And you can also do, with a lot of, cartographic techniques, you can do the geo visualization inside geospatial techniques, reporting, map use, as well as, the comprehension. So once you create the map based on various layers, you also need to have capability to interpret those, maps. And that's what, according to the interpretation, you have to, come for the decision making. Now, this is just a brief on, till date, 456 towns are on board, and we have approved the
Just,
layout.
sorry to interrupt. We are seeing slide number 3. It is stuck there, I guess.
Oh, is it? You are not able to see?
Now we have now it has shifted to slide number 6. Previously, it was at slide number 3.
Oh. So you were not able to see 4, 5, 6?
No, now we can see it, sir.
No, but the moment if I make full screen, I think there is problem. You kindly tell me now. You can see?
Yeah, now we are looking at the slide number 4.
4. Just a minute. You can see this. You can see this.
Yes, sir.
This I had already explained.
Yes.
I don't know what is the problem of synchronization. So I mentioned about the spatial plans and the different level of plans. I have also mentioned about, the different, the techniques which are available, where you can extract a lot of, data. And these are all, now you can see this slide.
We are looking at slide number 4, sir.
Why it is not shifting? Is there any problem? Now you can see.
I think it is slide number. We are still at slide number 4.
I think now you can see.
Yeah, now it is slide number 5.
Actually, there is a problem. If I make full screen, I think the screen is not moving. The slides are not moving.
It's okay, sir. I think you can do it without the full screen mode also. We can see it clear.
Okay. So I was mentioning about the the GI based master plan. Ministry has approved around 413.07 crores and released 150 crores. And the progress is that draft geo database has been created for 446 towns. GIS based master plan has have been formulated for 157 towns, out of which final GIS based master plan have been approved in 92 towns. And of course, my organization is also engaged in capacity building exercise, wherein around 1,700 officials have been trained, including the town and country planners working in the state town and country planning department. Now, what are the outcomes? Accurate and faster way of formulation of master plans using GIS technologies. What we feel that in next 5 years, we will be able to complete at least for all the statutory towns, the master plan. Right now, the latest, as per the latest available information, we have around 4,857 statutory towns. So the next target for 5 years will be to have a master plan for all the statutory towns. But at the same time, let me also tell that only we have around 35-36% of the total cities and towns having the master plan. So still there's a lot of big task wherein we have to ensure the master plan for every city. Out of 7,933 cities and towns, we have around 2,800 cities and towns having the statutory master plan. Now, use of GIS also facilitate easy updation once you have different layers. Once you go, once you have layers and you go for updation or revision, that can be done in an easy manner. And once you revise your master plans, then monitoring and implementation of urban development process with transparency. You can real time information flow will actually ensure much more transparency. And also GI based master plan platform will support online bidding permission approval system. What I was talking about, Mumbai and Delhi, they have integrated with the GIS GIS map, wherein you can at a click of mouse you can know about the property details, and you can also know about the property details, the concerned property, what kind of clearances it would require. Say for example, in air funnel, you may require the clearance of, if the property is located in air funnel, you will require the clearance from Airport Authority of India. Similarly, if property is near a monument, so you'll have to get clearance from this one, National Monument Authority. So there are different kind of agencies, both under the central government control as well as state government, like PWD department, horticulture department, the city metro. You require a lot of clearances, and those clearances have been seamlessly integrated in the online building permission system. So it gives a clear view, and it will be a very transparent when you can ascertain the details of each and every plot. But it takes a lot of time. The legacy data, you have to make it into a digital format, and then you have to keep on updating. It's a challenging task, but let us hope that cities will, in next 5 years, will do a lot of work towards the digital availability of records of the property. Now, these are certain examples wherein it's once you go for digital mapping, it's not that you are not going to ascertain the ground realities. So this is a photograph where the officials of town planning department are actually ascertaining the ground realities. And one of the image which shows that GIS software attribute data. No, it's virtually what GIS, simply you can say that it's integration of spatial and attribute data. So that's what you can correlate the attribute data. If you correlate with the the spatial data, that makes the GIS exercise complete. Now this is also Yelluru town satellite image, and where this gives an overview along with the extracted layers. So the details you can always find out. Whereas we have given the database has been developed based on the the design standards of GIS based master plan. So this is one of the example where all the data pertaining to the roads have been collected as per the road special data content, which it has got the hierarchy, national highway, state highway, major district road, and all kind of the road, and you can easily ascertain from the map. This is the actual sheet which actually gives the details of like width, road width, right of way. You can ascertain from the map, as well as there is an integration between the Excel, this data format, and spatial data. Now this is some examples, like states, West Bengal has gone for mapping for the depleting level of groundwater. And if this kind of spatial information is available at the city level also, you can always take steps. You can also ascertain that to what extent the rainwater harvesting has to be implemented, and which properties which have not been able to implement the rainwater harvesting. Chennai is one of the what we say good example, where lot of efforts have been made towards implementing the rainwater harvesting. And one of the example is that 93% of all traffic fatalities in Mumbai occur within 100 meters from intersection. So this also this enables the those who are implementing the master plan can always work for how we are going to improve the cross this road junctions, intersections, and how you can overcome the conflict points where the accidents are going to take place. So this is all the spatially driven exercise, where you can do a lot of modeling, and then accordingly you can take steps to overcome whatever the fatalities are found along the intersections. Now, this is the latest attempt, Government of India Gati Shakti Master Plan, now, which will be focusing on the core infrastructure like roadways, railways, transport, cargo, and the power infrastructure. Now, hopefully, what as a planner, what we feel that in URDF guidelines also we have given a recommendation that we need to have a national perspective plan. So this is just beginning. Hopefully, we will be having interministerial discussions that how we are going to implement the Gati Shakti master plan, and that too will have to use the GIS techniques for generating a lot of thematic maps. This is the latest initiative which we are doing. This is the formulation of local area plan and town planning scheme, which earlier also I mentioned. Right now, 25 cities, are preparing the local area plan town planning scheme. 6 cities have completed their draft report, whereas including the Trivandrum, remaining 19 cities are at an advanced stage of completion, including Trivandrum. Trivandrum also selected the 2 sites for preparing the local area plan town planning scheme. And in fact, with the SEPT University collaboration, we have conducted the capacity building program for town planners of the state government who are actually involved in local area plan and town planning scheme. Now, this is some of the example like Chennai, Indore. They have completed the entire exercise, and they are in process of inviting objection sessions. And there's a lot of data analytics have been done. The biggest challenge here also comes that how you are going to have authentic land record. So without that, you cannot go for implementing the lab as well as TPS. TPS is much more important because you need to have the land records, the digital land records for the original owners, and then after the plot reconstitution, what is the details of plots after the land pooling. So some of the local area plans which cities are taking up are heritage and old areas of city, brownfield, predominantly residential development, commercial and business center of the city, and transit oriented zone. Along with that also, the area based strategy can always be taken up. Whereas in town planning scheme, urban fringe areas, peripheral urban growth, urban extension, and area lying between the municipal and planning boundary can always be taken up for the town planning scheme. Now, future, challenges would be there. I'm not going to read each and everything, but as a town planner, what we feel there is a tremendous, scope for, improving, the preparation of, master plan, how we are going to really, generate data in digital format. And let us hope that the present generation will be much more exposed to the digital data, and it will allow us to share the insight with city dwellers and encourage them to participate in designing efficient cities by giving ideas on how to improve certain aspects of urban living, public transport, and waste disposal. And the biggest challenge would be that how we can really reduce the with the use of GIS, how we can reduce the duration for preparing the master plan. Normally it takes too much time, and especially for master plan Delhi also, the exercise started in 2018, and now the draft has been completed, and the public objection suggestions have also been completed. So what we expect with the use of all the data analytics, how we can really hasten the process of the master plan. I think we'll be successful if the entire master plan exercise gets completed in 1 year. I mean, it's a in fact, we had sent an advisory that the entire master plan exercise to be completed in 1 year. So it will be a challenge, because I'm keep on mentioning about challenge. So you need to complete the exercise of preparing the master plan. Then you have to go for notification, and then actually how effective will be implementation and how we can effectively leverage the data analytics in decision making. So these are on my broad points, and I thank you very much, each and everyone, for giving for having the patience and listening to the presentation. Thank you very much, Vishnuji.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir, for giving a valuable time and giving us a national perspective in urban planning and use of robust data sets and analytics for spatial planning, sir. We will invite the next speaker, Mr. Koji Kikuchi. He's an international speaker from Japan, and he is joining us in the capacity of Senior Manager, Cross Industry Unit, NEC Corporation, Japan. Over to you, sir. Look, can you please check the status?
Yes, this is Vishnu Ansari.
Vishnu, the speaker was with us some time back. He has just left. So can you please inquire with Mr. Pradeep?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Anup is calling the lady who was coordinating the network connectivity issues with the Japan office.
Okay.
Yeah, I think we have Mr. Koji Kikuchi online. Sir, can you hear us? So your mic is on mute, sir.
Yes, am I audible?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes, fantastic. So, can I start my presentation? Sorry, I was dropped for 2 minutes just now.
Yeah, please do, sir.
Okay, thank you very much. So, let me share my screen. Is my slides visible?
Yes, sir.
Yes, thank you very much. So, again, I'm Koji Kikuchi from NEC. First of all, thank you very much for inviting me to such an important event. And I'm really honored to join this event from Japan. And today I'm going to be talking about our success cases in smart city in Japan and Europe in the next 15 to 20 minutes. So I'm going to start with Japan. Then I'm going to take off to Europe and talk about some of the opportunities, some of the use cases that we have created. So, but before, please allow me to talk a little bit about who NEC is very quickly. So we have a more than 100 years of history and ICT provider, and we have a really broad product and solution portfolio. Literally, our technologies and the services are used today from the ocean floor to outer space. And recently, we are focused on quite a lot on the data utilization space. We've been investing on AI. We've been investing on the people for AI engineers. So obviously, smart city is one of the key areas that we are really committed to. Then, let me now take you to Japan. And in Japan, I would say about 10 to 15 years ago, there had been a lot of data-driven smart city projects and the implementation. But those were not, I would say, controlled in I would say a standard or the way that people can really share. So to resolve that challenges, the central governments of Japan 2 years ago, they defined a smart city reference architecture, as you see on the screen. And although this is called architecture, this has the two aspects, not only about technologies, but also operation or organization policies and the recommendation. So on the left-hand side, you see city management components. This is about governance. This is about organization. This is about people. So the reference architecture is recommending that that you need an organization for this successful data-driven smart city. On the right-hand side, this is the one that I wanted to talk today. So what is this saying is that to utilize data and AI to solve urban challenges, we need a software or platform components, which is called CityOS, which enables to cross data utilization and cross service sharing. So through a proper governance and also standard technologies, smart services are to be innovated and grown by ecosystem. So this is the smart city reference architecture that Japanese government defined. And on the tech side, on the right-hand side, you saw the CTOS. It should have three main features. So one is interoperability, meaning that services and data, very importantly, data can be shared among different stakeholders. And the second one is the open data exchange and distribution. So data is not only for government, data is for citizens, data is for private sector as well. And the third one is scalability. Then if we put into those three, into a technology side, I would say for interoperability, let's use standard technologies. Let's do not use someone's very specific technologies, especially for data. And also for the open data exchange and distribution, let's expose, for instance, API so that third parties, they can utilize data. And let's expose, for instance, the open data portal so that citizens, they can see what is happening in a city. And also, another thing very important is that CTOS needs to manage both of stored data and also non-stored data. And this is very essential, and this is what Japan is really believes in, because they're talking about the ownership of data. Yes, of course, some of the data is owned by governments, but there is certainly another data set which is owned by, for instance, private sector or even citizens themselves. So from the CTOS perspective, it is very important to be able to orchestrate those two different types of data. And for scalability, let's have the platform based upon the modality and also microservice based so that the platform can be evolved continuously. So these are the, I would say, sort of the reference or guidance that the central governments of Japan made. Following that, NEC, now I'm going to start talking about NEC. We are developing our NEC Smart City ecosystem, which is based on NEC CTOS and smart services on top. Then as you see, smart services can be, for instance, services for resilience, services for transport, or services for a number of different areas. But our key concept is that those services will be created onto our CTOS, which is a data hub. Then another thing which we strongly believe in is that services for governments, of course, but very importantly, services are for citizens and the private sector, local economy as well. And this is a technical diagram, so I'm not going to talk about all of them. But technical perspective, our CTOS consists of standard software and also NEC or our partners' own technologies. And those different components are compiled through our end-to-end security so that usage of data is done safely. So if you see a little bit into the diagram, on the bottom layer, you see some data federation components. Yeah, this is where we are using standard technologies such as fireware, which I'm going to be talking about next slide. But on top of that, we are adding value-added functionalities such as artificial intelligence or 2D, 3D GIS for the digital twin use cases. And even for richer use cases, we are utilizing bio authentication such as facial recognition and so on. Yes, then as a core of our CTOS, we are using fireware, which was developed by EU FP7 innovation program. And the fireware is a set of software which is published as an open source. And today, more than 900 organizations are contributing to evolve new functionalities. And NEC, we are one of platinum members, and we are one of the board members of this open source community. Then the key feature of fireware is that fireware defines the standard smart city data model, which is called the NGSI. And as you see on the diagram, which is the smart city reference architecture defined by Fireware Foundation, as you see at the center, Fireware context broker, this is the effectively technological broker of data. This orchestrates data, this collects data, this passes data to services. So that's a hub of data platform. And very exciting things are happening now in actually India as well. This month, Fireware Foundation and IUDX jointly announced the formation of the new alliance, which is called the International Data Exchange Alliance. So as far as I'm informed, those two organizations, they are going to use the same technologies so that they can create new services, and those services can be shared among them. So more collaboration between Europe and India, and of course in Japan, to create more innovative data-driven services. So very exciting things are now happening. Then now, allow me to talk about the use cases which NEC we created. So we have a number of cities which we are working with, but today I picked up one of them in Japan, the city of Takamatsu. That's the capital of a state, one of the states. So the city established a special purpose vehicle, which is called Smart City Council, and more than hundreds of organizations are member of this Smart City Council, and utilizing CityOS and also the data sets, we are creating new services. As you see, flood monitoring, digital tourism, and smart healthcare and smart transports. So that city has a number of issues and challenges that they want to solve. So we have a list of issues that we want to solve. Then, we've been working, we are seeing whether we can resolve those issues by data-driven approach or not. And indeed, we have achieved already quite many of them. So 2 examples I'm going to be talking about utilizing the next 2 slides. Flood monitoring. We have installed IoT sensors at the river. Then, our platform monitors the water level. So this is, a very, very typical IoT use case. But furthermore, what we are doing is that, yes, we analyze the tendency of water level, we predict, and even we have a digital workflow which is triggered when the water level goes above a threshold. So then another exciting things about this is that a river flows through not only one city, but a number of cities. So as you see on the right-hand side, this smart service is being used by 3 local authorities in the region. So let's say, sharing or co-development use case which we created. And another use case we created in city of Takamatsu is smart cycling, but this is for digital tourism. Let me explain. So the city has I think 50 or even more bicycles, which they installed GPS sensors. Then yes, of course, we know where those cycles are. Then matching with the profile of people who are tourists. Now we can see, for instance, I would say the tendency in terms of, I would say, possibly a tourist from China may go to this spot, and tourists from Spain, possibly they go to that spot. Excuse me. So yes, this creates a very good snapshot and view in terms of the flow of tourists within the city. Then the city is sharing this information with the local business so that they can prepare. For instance, the most of the customers are from Spain. Yes, let's prepare some signboard in Spanish. So this is IoT use case and for bicycles, but at the end, this is helping tourism economy in the city. Yes, the technology perspective, how we are doing this is that, yes, we have a system for bicycle sharing, we have a system for float management, but important thing is that we have a single brain, which is our City OS. Then through this, single brain, we are creating new services such as, the analytics of the tourist flows, or analytics of the or prediction of the river water level. Then now we are adding more data source. For instance, some GIS data source from the central government, or some weather forecast data source from, again, the central government. So the service is getting richer, and the accuracy of the simulation is getting richer as well. So that was the case in Japan. Then now I'm taking you to Europe. In Asia, we have a number of success cases, particularly in Spain and Portugal, Iberian Peninsula. As you see, citizen application, smart city platform, smart waste management, or 5G campus network, and traffic analysis. But the one that I'm going to talk about today is city of Lisbon, the capital of Portugal. There, the city was facing the challenge. The challenge one is that they wanted to make the city, which will give better quality of life for citizens. At the same time, they wanted to optimize their city operation, utilizing data. However, the challenge was that data they have was in really silo data structure. They have I think 13 different departments, and those 13 different departments have 40 different system and data source. So the data was managed in really silo environments. So what they are doing is that, as you see on the right hand side, they set up a single platform, CTOS, they call Lisbon Intelligent Management Platform. And around that, they are creating new use cases and applications such as Integrated Operation Center, ICCC, and some applications for citizen. And even they are running some R&D innovation program with EU and also the local universities. Yes, NAC, we are working with them as a platform partner. We are developing, actually, we already have developed our CTOS, and we are now enhancing, adding more use cases. And application side, as I showed, we have Command Center, and recently we released a new mobile application for citizens, and this is being used a lot, especially under COVID situation, because this gives citizens a lot of information about the hospitals, about the traffic, about parking lot. So this is being used really a lot. And the open data, of course. Then now there is a program. It's a private and public sector collaboration to create new services utilizing data that this CTOS has. So as you see on the line, the top line, the NEC CTOS is today orchestrating more than 200 data sets. Then we have a number of use cases on the right-hand side, as you see. Well, yes, then these are the use cases which we developed, and the use cases that citizens and the city officers are using. But of course, we have lots more, especially if we talk about R&D and the innovation side. We have really a lot of new initiative, especially around AI simulation and digital twin. Due to the time constraint, I'm afraid I'm not able to go through all of them. But if we can have the next opportunity, or if we can meet next time, I'd be very happy to talk further. Yes, thank you very much. This is the end of my presentation. So for more stories, you can contact our colleagues in India, or you can directly contact me. Thank you very much for listening.
Thank you, Mr. Kochi. This was a wonderful
Yes.
presentation, and thanks for presenting the use cases of cities from Japan and Europe. We'll move to the next speaker, and then we'll have a Q&A session once we are done with all the speakers. Our next speaker is Mr. Sandeep Khurana. He is joining us in the capacity of CTO, NEC. He is an industry veteran having over 28 years of experience, and he has been working with NEC for over 15 years. He has been one of the major contributors in new technologies like biometrics, AI, cloud computing, and data analytics. And these are the solutions offered by NEC. Over to you, sir.
Thanks, Vishnu. Am I audible?
Yes, loud and clear, sir. Please.
Allow me to share my screen. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay. Respected Dr. Vinay and Snehil sir, my fellow colleagues, and ladies and gentlemen, a very good afternoon to all of you. And I am delighted today to be part of this Open Data Week celebrations organized on 75th anniversary of our Independence Day as part of Azadi ka Amrit Mahotsav. So, on behalf of NEC India, I would be presenting how NEC India is looking at data-driven governance as the future of urban planning. Is the next screen, next slide visible? No issues on the.
We can see slide number 1.
No transition has happened, is it?
No, not so far.
Okay, shall I go to? Maybe there is some issue with transition. So I will not. Can you see the slide number 2 now?
Yes, sir, we can.
Okay. Sorry about that. I think I will not be able to move to slideshow mode. Okay, so let's start this discussion. I think all of us know that this last decade, the later part of the last decade, and the today's scenario, we are seeing a major shift happening in economies across the world towards adoption of data. So enterprises today are becoming more and more data driven. Maybe a decade back, all of us would have not considered that Google, Facebook, and many such hundreds of enterprises would be peeking into our living rooms and trying to capture data for whatever we are doing today, be it accessing the information, be it what we are trying to buy, or how we are moving around in the cities. They are using all this data and building up use cases and helping other enterprises to buy this data to build new interesting applications which are helping enterprises to increase their sales, which are helping consumers to get better experiences from the enterprises. So the enterprises and corporates using data is a very established case today, and as we are moving ahead, we are seeing more and more enterprises becoming data driven. But this data is not only private to enterprises. Today, the governments across the world are realizing that data is going to be the backbone for planning and operations of cities. And according to some estimates, a smart city of a population of around a million people is generating a few hundreds of gigabytes of data every month. So I am talking here data which is from the assets which are kind of owned by uh, city governments and also some citizen applications. If we include a lot of private data which is being generated in city, then this will increase by maybe another 1000x actually. But the challenge is that only a very small fraction, maybe less than 10% of this data is being analyzed. Majority of the decision makers feel they are unable to use it, or they feel that their data, and a very small fraction actually, maybe 1 in 4 is feels that they are literate to use how to use this data for decision making. So as we see that we are getting buried into the data, but the challenge in front for all of us, the city planners, the urban urban planners and the city operation centers, the challenge in front of all of us is how to gather and maintain meaningful data which helps to make actionable data available, get meaningful insights to deliver social value through timely decisions and precise actions in cost effective manner. The basic objective is that we want to make citizens life a better place to live. Now moving forward, as we are seeing that smart city mission has been promoting adoption of digital technologies, and as part of that 100 smart cities were chosen and they started adopting digital infrastructure to provide better services to their citizens. At NEC, we tried to look at what are the challenges faced by some of these smart cities. So I will not go into details of all of them, but some of the major challenges which we believe are not, not being able to share the data. Each city has their own formats. Each city has their own set of applications. There is no standardization of applications or data formats. Interoperability among different applications is very limited, which leads to long implementation, higher dependency on SIs, and then comes the point of how to ensure, while we are capturing more and more data through different sensors, how to ensure that this data is secure and the data access is only in the hands of trustworthy people. Uh, this is basically, these are some of the biggest challenges which cities are facing today. Before we start moving into how NEC is trying to solve some of these challenges, we let's look at how these where this data is actually coming from and where it is going. Cities today, I think, they have multiple sources of data coming to them. Across cities now we have many different kind of sensors for water waste management, sensors for monitoring the or surveillance activities through hundreds of CCTV cameras, sensors to for flood monitoring, sensors for parking, and there are multiple applications based on the specific needs of each city they are trying to put across. Then there is a large scale network infrastructure which is required to transport all these sensors data to the city operation centers. So there are multiple applications, like I talked about, which cities have created depending upon their needs. Now, once we have all these sources of data which cities have, and there are other sources of data also which I just forgot to mention. uh, One important source of data is the social networking side. So today's citizens are communicating more and more about what is happening around, how they are looking at different services which governments are providing them today. So all this data moves into a data aggregation platform where we have a large data repository which captures all this data. The first stage of digitalization, most of the smart city missions, cities have taken this data and now they are trying to build command center applications over that, which basically implements workflows, standard operating procedures, and mainly looking at how to provide different citizen services across the different departments. However, going forward, uh, this data as these cities become more rich and rich on data sets, they can use advanced analytics technologies like data mining, correlation, prescriptive and predictive analytics to get more insights and more meaningful interpretations from this data. Okay, now let's talk how ICCC can help cities to function effectively. ICCC, or Integrated Command and Control Centers, they are the brain or nerve center of cities today. The primary objective, if I have to talk about, is the interagency coordination. Each city has different departments, divisions, which till now were functioning more like silos, operating on their own set of data, operating on their own set of operating procedures, services. But with integrated command and control center coming into picture, the it provides a common platform, a common way of functioning across different divisions. So what it does is, at a broad level, to the city government, it provides situational awareness, where what is happening in this city, where it is happening, and how they can control it better. If I have to put it in this very simple terms, this is what integrated command and control center is doing. So if we look at different functions which a city has today, depending upon each city, they may or may not involve some of these functions as part of integrated command center. But there are functions or divisions like transportation. The basic premise of transportation is to provide efficient and effective transportation services to the citizens. So through traffic management system, through transportation systems, their objective is to ensure that local transportation, the last mile transportation services are effectively given to citizens. Similarly, a sustainable utilities is another major objective of departments today, be it water, be it waste, solid waste, or it is sewage treatment. All these needs to be taken care of in a more sustainable manner. Security or safety is a primary concerns of most cities law enforcement agencies today. So how to ensure a secure uh, public safety infrastructure is being built up, and transparent governance, whether it is the local taxations, whether it is the permissions to do some building modifications. All these citizen services needs to be provided in a very transparent manner. So ICCC is today the core of how we can extend all these to citizens in a very effective manner. Now, NEC over last many years has been associated with some of the leading digital transformation projects in India today. Some of these, I think, the, the foundation of some of the major digital transformation projects started with Aadhaar. So today, NEC is proud to be associated with Aadhaar for more than a decade, being the biometric service provider for this program. But beyond Aadhaar, there are multiple city development programs, be it smart city programs in northern part like Gurugram or Saharanpur or Meerut. So basically doing the transportation and smart city programs there. Four of the smart cities in western part, we are doing the transportation projects, managing more than 7,000 buses in those cities. Then Kalyan Dombivli near Mumbai, we are doing the complete smart city program there, and we are proud to be associated with Trivandrum, trying to build the next generation smart city platform for Trivandrum city also. So NEC is proud to be associated with Smart City Mission, helping cities become smarter and leverage this data for their next journey towards digital cities. Now, while we see that the adoption of digital technologies has started across Indian cities, um, we are seeing that now the Indian cities are becoming more data centric decision makers. And recently, MoHUA has conducted a digital maturity assessment for 100 smart cities. And if we can see that as the major findings of this, almost 50% of the cities today are at some level of digital maturity. While it is still the early days of those digital maturities, but the leader cities will have to play an important role on how they can share their learnings for other cities to catch up and adopt this digital transformation faster and more effectively. The future now is about how to build data economy. We really talked about how data is being generated, how it is being consumed, but now my colleague from Japan also talked about Japan has seen each city creating their own data volumes, and they have tried to solve their local problems in a silo way. In India, our data or our smart city mission is still very new. It's only 5 years since this has started. But the the economy, the future lies in that each city starts looking at how to build data economy, which is more about monetizing the data or building up more and more interesting use cases for citizen services around the data. So the importance in this data economy, the important steps in this data economy are going to be uh, collection of this data, organization of this data, and then sharing of this data for different purposes. However, the challenge which as an early stage adopter of digital technologies today are, we need to look at ensuring that whether the data quality has to be good. We should know the security of data, because uh, as I said earlier, also, we need to ensure that the right people are accessing the data and it doesn't go into the hands of people who can manipulate data or misuse this data for maybe stopping these citizen services. And very important thing is all this data economy can only work if we have standardization of data. How standardization will really help? Standardization will lead to the innovation where multiple small startups um, or data driven organization will be able to build applications which can run across different cities and provide meaningful insights to citizens, to city governments, as well as to the Ministry of Urban Development also. So, what are the key enablers of data economy today? So, open APIs, standardized data models, a standard data publication platform, and its well-defined policy and framework are some of the enablers which will help this data economy to flourish. One of the example which I would like to talk here is about how IUDX and NEC have recently used power of data for efficient citizen services. So, in one of the cities in western part of India, Ahmedabad, NEC has been implementing BRT system for past many years. Leveraging this data which is being generated over many years in this city, with IUDX help, we have launched a updated citizen mobile app where citizen can actually on a real time basis look at what is the status of the next bus which is going to come at their stop, how many seats it may have, how many vacant seats it will have, and also would know what will be the status of the bus two stops down the line. So when they are moving inside the bus, so this on one side this is helping citizens to plan their travel more effectively. Uh, at the same time, it is also giving a lot of valuable insights to uh, city planners and the transport authority on how to or what time, what frequency should be there, and how to route and how to plan for the next bus systems. While we have been talking about the many cities citizen services and smart city elements which are prominent today, one of the one of the city important element of urban services is healthcare, especially in last 2 years during the pandemic. Most of the cities have really given a lot of focus and emphasis on how to deliver better healthcare systems to their citizens. So, while healthcare has been always a primary initiative and a focus area for city governments, but pandemic has really brought it into forefronts, and now different cities are really looking at how they can leverage digital technologies to leverage healthcare systems across the cities in a more effective and efficient manner. During the pandemic, NEC has been associated with some of the city governments in establishing the war rooms, helping them to identify the resources which are available, helping them to leverage those resources and extend better services to citizens by redirecting citizens to those resources. But this has been more of a gap kind of a arrangement for those periods. Now, as we are moving, we are looking at how to standardize and streamline the processes at different healthcare or facilities, and then also look at judicial utilization of resources, and all this can only be leveraged through the technology in the cloud first model. This is what we are trying to now implement for the government of Delhi as a first pilot. Data driven health planning and governance is now becoming more and more powerful and important for multiple decision makers, and there are a lot of healthcare analytics based on the data which we are trying to envisage in terms of how to do the bed forecasting, how to do analytics driven electronic prescriptions, which helps citizens to leverage remote healthcare staffs, and also provide better insights and reporting to the urban planners on the healthcare facilities. So healthcare is going to be another important parameter on the urban planning going forward from here, and NEC, besides looking at the other smart elements, is giving a lot of emphasis on how to provide smart healthcare services. With this, I think looking at the time constraint, I will end my discussion here. Thank you very much once again to providing us this opportunity to me. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Mr. Pradeep, for giving us an insight into your into NEC's operations in India and also various projects undertaken across India. You have also mentioned about developing interesting use cases in future, along with standardization of data, which can help in data monetization, which we are eagerly looking forward to. We are looking forward to developing a state-of-the-art data center and ICCC at Thiruvananthapuram with NEC's support, sir. Thank you so much. Now we can probably open the floor for questions to our speakers. If any of the participants would like to speak or share an insight or ask a question, please do so.
Hello.
Hello, yes, Mr. Anson, please go ahead.
Hello, I am Anson. I am from Trivandrum city. So I think the healthcare, I have like a comment about healthcare and importance of this smart city type of facilities, because in Trivandrum, in the medical college, this is a medical college is an important hospital, and people all over, the common people all over come from all over place to this place. And usually you can see that there is a large waiting line for taking the scan and essential like x-rays and all. And actually people are dying every day because of this delay that comes. So I want to know if this kind of technology can be helpful. Can it be implemented like without too much delay?
Pradeep, sir,
Vishnu, I would quickly respond to that. Thank you, Mr. Edson, for that question. A very, very genuine, very pertinent question. Seeing the pandemic also, how it has folded in last 2.5 years, and the kind of support our institutions give to the people, the kind of support which medical college has been giving to our people. So definitely, I would just like to mention that Smart City is working very closely with all our health institutions, and very soon we will be diversifying into digital health also, where we are working with the IT expert on such kind of solutions where, like as you mentioned, there is a big waiting time in medical college. So that is one field where Smart City Trivandrum is working. And simultaneously, like one answer to your question will be strengthening the other peripheral institution. Like medical college Trivandrum not only caters to the population of Trivandrum, but it's a referral tertiary care center for the South Kerala also. So not only from Trivandrum, from Kollam, from Patnamthitta also people come here. So one way is strengthening our peripheral institutions apart from MCH, like General Hospital in Neyatingara or our General Hospital per se in the city also. So I would like to assure you, yes, Smart City is working very closely, and very soon we'll be coming out with the digital solution so that life of people can be made easier and waiting time per se with respect to health solution is reduced.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Any other question, please?
My name is Tommen, and my question is that the data culture is being gaining much popularity in today's world. But the thing is that the data collection, the generation of first level data, and also the error rectification should be done from the first level, which means the ground level itself. So, what are the best practices and procedures which can be implemented in a country like India or a state like Kerala so that the data accuracy and data quality can be ensured? So that because based on this data only we are making the analysis and we are making the decision also. So what are the best practices which can be implemented from the initial stage itself to ensure the quality of the data?
Yeah, so if any of our speakers can respond to that.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I can speak from urban planning point of view, where we have lot of satellite images. So while finalizing the base map, normally the ascertaining the ground realities are taken up. So you can take the satellite image as well as the base map and go to the ground and plot by plot you can mark. So wherever discrepancies are there, the discrepancies can always be overcome by asserting the ground realities. So you like to, you can, even on sample basis also you can select certain streets, or you can identify certain streets. Maybe you can take up an arterial street and then just move around that street and then find out what are the discrepancies are there. So in that manner you can actually clean the data, and you can also verify the authenticity of the records that is there.
Yeah. Just to add to Mr. Shrivas' point of view, I think the success lies with verification of data. It actually depends upon the type of data we are talking. Today, a lot of data which we are capturing in smart cities are the smart elements data, which are machine generated data. So there are technological advances which are happening today, which will identify the outliers in such data and maybe remove them from the analytics part of it. But when it comes to the manual data entry, I think uh, Mr. Shinwas said, it is all about verification. And whether we do this verification on a sampling basis or on a random basis, so there are different ways you can really perform those verifications and ensure that through and maybe watch it against a golden reference and then say that, okay, this data is ready to be deployed. I hope I could answer.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, any other questions, please?
Hello, I'm Swati, and it is important to have a single updated data system to ensure that we all get the latest updated data and for not having duplication of data. So, how such a system can be implemented without any problems like data breaching and security issues?
May I again from urban planning point of view, it is very difficult to get authentic and accurate data on land uses. Khurana Sahab, you must be knowing about that. In fact, even the master plan of Delhi 2021 has not given the detailed, the typical tenfold classifications of, data. So it's a challenge that how you can ensure, authenticity as well as accuracy in the data. And it is quite possible that two or three various agencies can give different kind of land use data. So then what the latest technology you need to leverage, maybe drone technology will further facilitate better cross verification of the ground realities, and accordingly you can update the land uses. This is I am telling from the urban planning perspective. Maybe Khurana Sahab can add more on that, especially when when we clean the data and ensure that there is an authenticity of the various data collected on different infrastructure.
Yeah, I think just to add to what Mr. Srinivas said, Swati, I think what I understood from your point, you are talking about a single source of data which should be taken as the golden reference for all the data analytics purposes. But this may or may not be applicable all the time. It really depends. Many cities or organizations will look at a data hierarchy based on how they want to really use that data. And there would be different applications which may find certain data sets relevant to them only, while at the maybe higher level or organization or smart city level, we may have to look at a different or only a subset of the view of the data. So in those cases, we make common data lakes, if I talk in terms of technology, which will really bring data from different sources and then try to provide a analytics view of those data is that's how we normally try to achieve it.
Any other question, please? Anup, you have something to ask?
Sir, my name is Anup Vidyadharan. I have a question to, to the panel. So basically, when we consider about the data, we are using the entire data. We are collecting the data from all the platforms, like from the even IoT devices or the websites, or from scrapping and from all over the source. We are collecting all the data to get some insight. So, what are the key aspects when it comes to a smart city? What are the key aspects on data security that we have to look into?
Okay, let me take this first. I think from the smart city perspective, we are looking at a lot of data which is coming from IoT devices. So it is very important to understand that this data which comes from IoT devices, only the authorized users are able to access it. As we are really, so it is right from the network level where this data needs to be transported to the central repository. And once we are maintaining that data in the central repository, we need to ensure that this data is preserved. So security has to happen right at the device level, where um, we need to ensure that nobody can access or get control of these IoT devices and manipulate them. And then once we have those data at the central repository, this is for the relevance, and it has to be used. The majority of this data is for the use for the city government only. So a security infrastructure has to be built on these IoT generated data. Application related data generally, even today, I think most city governments or departments have their own security systems on ensuring that only department people are accessing those data. Those are structured, very private kind of data. But the other challenge I think today, which will come from the data perspective, is unstructured data, which we are trying to use for some of the social medias, to understand the citizens behavior, or to understand the emotions of citizens with respect to the services. Again, this is very sensitive part of the information. We need to ensure that when we are accessing the streams of those social network platforms, those streams of data needs to be uh, how we are capturing it, how we are removing the attribution to that data, so that even if it is caught or gets into the hand of wrong people, no misuse can really happen with that kind of a data. While we will provision all the security at different levels, it also needs to be ensured that if such data gets leaked, it doesn't really cause uh, any issues with the owners of these originators of these data. Actually, I hope I answered your question.
Anup,
Thank you.
from our experience, we have been coordinating with the Municipal Corporation of Greater Mumbai as well as Municipal Corporation of Delhi, wherein we need to integrate those properties which are falling under the Ministry of Defense purview. So for that, I mean, they're all a secured area. So we had, in fact, requested Ministry of Defense to integrate. In the typical cantonment area, also you have to go for building plan approvals. So that integration is still not, achieved. In spite of so many requests from Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs to Ministry of Defense, we have not been able to do. So that part is, left out of the online building permission system, that we are not able to integrate seamlessly. So these are certain things where even when you revise your master plans, if you want to show land use, it will be, just written as the defense land. So no further, classification of defense land is not possible to get. So this may also impact when you calculate the land uses data for the entire city. It may have some problem in that. So these are the things which we have. Hopefully, the Ministry of Defense, what they have intimated us, that they are actually categorizing the defense installation as per the security perspective, which is highly sensitive, little bit sensitive, which can be, shared on the public domain. That guidelines they are formulating. So that will have to really. These are the things which we have experienced while implementing the online building permission system in Mumbai and Delhi.
Yeah. And
Srinivas sir, one follow-up question with that. Our conventional urban planning or engineering or all these various disciplines relied on primary and secondary data, or maybe data given from various government institutions which had a seal of Fatah. When there was a government seal to that data.
Huh.
यहाँ से आया है data, so we can rely on that. Even if it is wrong or right, we used to anchor on that to make a decision. Now with all these IoT devices coming in, the information and data itself is so dynamic. So this data manipulation is also a possibility that we'll see in future. तो पहले तो even if the data is गलत, okay ठीक है, we can say data गलत है, but it is signed and sealed by some department, some agency.
No, I mean, you have, standard formats. Whether you use IoT device, there are certain, formats. And in fact, with the Ministry of Statistics and Program Implementation, we have come up, the detailed formats, which can be easily, these are all structured formats, which you can extract data from different departments. Now, only thing is that how we are going to ensure the coordination between the different departments. That these are the formats, and we require information on as per the formats. That has to be really ensured. But at the same time, how effectively the different departments are actually, sharing the data. So I can tell you again, experience of online building permission system. it was actually the intervention of our secretary. He has to visit Mumbai. He has to hold discussion with the Department of Revenue, and then only it was possible to integrate, the data. Sometimes it requires highest level of intervention. And for us, doing business, where in our rank in construction permit improved from 187 in 2014 to 27 out of 196 countries. And it requires so much of coordination. We have to visit so many times to Mumbai as well as municipal corporation Delhi to coordinate different departments, and also come up with certain format where they can supply the data. I will call it as a real time information. For us also it has been a tremendous learning experience. And of course the World Bank has got quite tough, the parameters, they will come and they will have totally unbiased kind of stakeholder consultation. They will ask the architect and engineer how effectively is the online building permission system is working. So this is just a sharing of experience, how we really we struggle. And thanks to our secretary, the ex-secretary, now he is a chief secretary, government of Uttar Pradesh. He himself took this initiative, and that's why our ranking improved drastically.
Well done. Right. Any more questions, or can we wind up?
Hello, sir. Sir, I'm
Yeah,
Patricia.
yeah, please go ahead.
Hello, sir.
I think this will be the last question we'll be taking. So yes, Padmasri, please go ahead.
Sir, I would like to know how this huge data is cleaned and structured.
Yeah, is it Padam? Sorry, I didn't get your name.
Ms. Shri.
Yeah, I think now from the engineering viewpoint, if I understand, you are talking about how this data is cleaned and then it is processed. Is that your question?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so this is a very well established practice now. Over last few years, we have a lot of data engineering tools available, both for the structured and unstructured data. How there are ETL tools which basically allows you to get the data, clean it up, identify the outliers, relevant data. Also, when some missing data are there, there are technologies which are available which can help you extrapolate or identify what could be the values of those data. So this, once we really look at this data, to the extent possible, these tools are able to clean that data and make them meaningful data. And then we have next level of tools which allows to analyze and get insights from data. So in nutshell, there are a lot of established tools and workbenches which are available even from companies like NEC, or many other technology companies across the world are providing these kind of tools.
Okay, I think we'll wind up the session now. I would like to thank Snehil sir, Mr. Srinivas, Mr. Koji Kikuchi from Japan, and Mr. Sandeep for participating in this data conclave and giving your insights. I hope all the data coordinators from various government departments would have benefited from this session. I would finally invite our CEO, Dr. Vinay Goyal sir, to give the closing remarks.
Yeah, thank you so much, all. I would especially like to thank all the esteemed speakers. They have been very busy in their respective schedule, but even then, on a short notice, they've made themselves available for this very important discussion. So, thank you so much for coming here, for speaking on this very crucial topic, which will be gaining more and more importance in days to come. I would like to thank all my officials from Smart City who, again, on such a short notice, were able to put up a very good show. Thank you, Vishnu and team. I would like to thank all the youth, especially the students from various colleges and the schools who have participated in this discussion. And I would like to see more and more such kind of discussion in future also. So again, thank you all. Thank you so much for making this webinar a great success. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Vinay.
Thank you. Thank you all.
Thank you so much.
Thank you also.
Thank you.